I will tell you something about how we solved this big threat, threat into the Netherlands, which is a unique way of approaching a defense on these DDoS problems. I will tell you very shortly something about who we are, because I'll always have to explain a little bit that we are a not-for-profit foundation, which is a very friendly outside of what we're doing and also inside. But it doesn't mean that at the same way we are, at the same time, we are delivering professional DDoS scrubbing, DDoS mitigation services for the internet community in the Netherlands and Europe. So we are a service center running, transits, data centers, a lot of mitigation hardware, software, and developing that knowledge to keep up with a lot of problems that Ziv already talked about. Why are we doing this on a not-for-profit basis? Because we decided a few years ago, already 20 years ago in the Netherlands, that the community and the internet community once started as a volunteer and not-for-profit community. It's developed into, of course, a commercial way of developing and exploiting these services, but still face some threats and challenges which we maybe could approach in a different way than only on a commercial, from a commercial point of view. That's the way that NBIP started, and it's a service center for internet providers, which started in 2002 to do actually something that was difficult at the time, and that's providing lawful intercept services operation for the telcos and providers in the Netherlands. We're still doing that on a big scale in the Netherlands and providing that services for more than 100 plus providers, VoIP providers, internet providers, and small telecom companies. In 2014, we faced in the Netherlands a new threat, and it was a big DDoS attack on the government and a lot of provider sites. And the board of the NBIP came together and thought, well, probably we have the same challenge as we had a few years before. That means we have a huge problem which you need to address, and to address that you need big investments in hardware, software, and knowledge. That's the basic of what we're doing. And I think that's what Ziv also, that information was provided by him. You need to be on top of this game. You need to invest in transit, in traffic, in software, hardware, and above all, keep that knowledge going about what is going on. How do we solve that on a community-based approach? That's what we started. So the foundation and the members of the foundation invested in everything which I told, in hardware, software, and knowledge. And that's how we became to be the only not-for-profit scrubbing center in the Netherlands, providing this kind of security level for, I will tell you in a while, for more than, the last time when we did a check on this was more than 42% of all the .nl domain names were already protected by what we call the NAVAS, which is a bit of an anecdote. The NAVAS means, in Dutch means Nationale Wasstraat, which is actually an allegory for a washing street where you put your car through. You get first the big dots off, and then you come out shiny and clean. So that's the allegory of our name, and it's become a name, really an anecdote in the Netherlands, and that's how everybody knows us, by the NAVAS. Once we started this, we got really successful. Because it's and again, all our members pay for our services. We're complete independent financially, and we're not funded by any government. We're funded by our members, which are our customers, and we're counting more than 150 customers in the Netherlands and in Europe. and also in the UK. And a few of them we met here this morning. Very nice to meet you. So what is the secret of the success which we are seeing at this moment? And why are we really passionate about this? Well, I can tell you a lot about technicality. How do we do this? We've seen all kind of the attacks that Zifis was talking about. That's what we've been seeing going through the mitigation center on a daily basis. Yes, it's true, and you need a lot of technicality to address that and a lot of knowledge to address that. If you remember Zif's presentation, we are that dot, which is called outsourced scrubbing center. That means the providers come to us and they connect to the scrubbing center, and we do the scrubbing and including the reporting, and then reroute the traffic, the clean traffic back into their networks. We also have some providers who are bigger and have their own on-premise solution, and we're only their backup solution in case of disaster. Or we have a hybrid solution in which they say, well, we'll mitigate or we scrub a part of the traffic, and above a certain level, they just reroute it through our scrubbing center, and then we'll take it from there. So it's a lot of different hybrid approaches in which you can make this solution working. Well, and I think maybe one of the most important and nicest things to say is that what is the success of this big investment? It's a big effort, which we already did. I can tell you something about this kind of numbers, which we transparently publish on a quarterly basis. The fact that we are not for profit and our profile makes us passionate about one thing, and that's try to be as transparent as we can about what we're doing and the numbers which we've been seeing. I think some of us, of the mitigation and scrubbers in the room, have a lot of more impressive numbers than this. Maybe they can, they can talk about this or say this is something of trend what we're seeing. But why I'm talking about this is that we see an forever increase of DDoS attacks. I would like to tell you that we've taken all these measurements, we've been busy, very busy this time, and then the DDoS attacks, disappeared, and we've done our job. But I'm sorry, I don't have that kind of good news. The good news is that DDoS is here to stay. We have seen in the past years not only a growth of number of attacks, but also of the complexity of attacks. By this point, of course, we've been asked this question all the time. Why don't you do something about the attackers? Why don't you do something about, you're just mitigating all this traffic. Why don't you do something about the source of these problems? Well, I think by this time and after what we've seen coming the last years is that DDoS is here to stay in a way, the same way like we see spam in the mail, It's never been away, only the providers do something about it and they filter it so that you as a customer don't have a problem with that. So our idea about this, that DDoS is here to stay and it's changing. It's a morph. Sometimes it's about, kiddies who don't like to take the test and they just attack their school or exam sites. So the site is down and they don't have to show up for a test. That's one way of doing it. Sometimes it's about taking down a gaming site when the stakes are very high in getting your points in. And sometimes, I'm sorry to say, it's about warfare, which is unfortunately a very actual subject at this moment. We have seen, there's not a lot that I can tell you about it really, but I can assure you that anytime something is going on the ground, the same thing is going on online. So DDoS is a very effective warfare weapon. And it's quite easily to get by. you can buy it on sites. You can buy it with a subscription. You can buy it for a few dollars or more. You can buy it I haven't a sheet about that, but they exist. It's not even on the blank market, but it's just out there. You can buy it online as a service, and it will work for you for the goal you have as long as you keep paying for that. So DDoS is here to stay. The good news is there is protection. There is a way to get by that. And I will tell you something about what that means. I mean, I don't know if the sheets are going to be spread or mailed later, because you can. I don't want to say too much. You can go to our website. We are publishing these numbers every quarter. So, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is that, I'm sorry to say, I think a lot of us who deal with it know, you don't have to be a target to become a victim. Because this is one of the things we have heard a lot in the Netherlands, especially from the small and medium-sized providers. Who is going to target me? I'm not important. I just have a website with something going on there, or it's a web shop. I'm not important enough, to be targeted by something very big. So we did this. We were challenged by that a few years ago. And we did this report together with the domain registry in the Netherlands. And we tried to find out what is the level of threat you have as a small business, even if you are not targeted, because this was a real question. What is happening? What we saw that because of, and this report is a little bit few years old, but we'll reschedule this next year to try to repeat this. But what we saw, unfortunately, that because of the big way of the whole internet, it's interchanged and it's being shared, including the infrastructure being used, the collateral damage was as bad as the real target damage, because we got into this kind of measurements in which we saw that, like, relatively small businesses were hit just as hard, just because one of other bigger providers were targeted into a certain attack. So yeah, we came to this conclusion, and we've seen this for a few years now. And then we thought, well, have you done everything we could? And we haven't. We discovered, because by 2018 we were already into this business for 4 years. And then this kind of news, with some of it is in Dutch, was telling about big government side who were being taken down by an attack. And everybody was talking about the big warfare, and everybody was talking about the banks who couldn't provide their services for a longer period of time. And everybody thought, wow, we are being targeted by a big actor, out there. And then it turned out to be really a student somewhere, a Dutch student somewhere up in an attic room, who was just trying his best to see how far he could get. And he did, because we were down as a country. And then we stood up again and thought, well, this can never happen again. What if we, up this game of collaboration, which we already started in the Netherlands as a mitigation center? We knew how this would work. What if we upgrade this collaboration game on a national level? That's what we did. And we started something which it's called the Anti-DDoS Coalition, which comes to say why DDoS mitigation is very important. We are approaching it on a national level. And this coalition has been going on for 5 years now. There are governmental parties in there. We are there as one of the founders as a mitigation provider. There are some commercial parties in there which are which we are very critical about because it's not a sale platform, it's an information and knowledge sharing platform. That's how we started. And it's been really a journey to get here in the last 5 years. It's been hard work as well, because of course it's not about your own, but it's about the common good, and how do we get this this mitigation and this security level on the next level. And I'm very, very proud to talk about this, because I really believe this is the only way forward to upgrade this game and to keep up into this security environment we are living at the moment. And it's really a multi-stakeholder approach in which we try to collaborate on a knowledge sharing level. I think one of the biggest wins until now is that we can actually have each other into our phones, which might be a very easy way to find each other. But until then, until 2018, everybody was just operating on its own. We had the same problems. We were hit by the same attacks. We did the same things. And some indeed have like hundreds of thousands of investment in their own machines. And sometimes they didn't know what to do with. We invested a lot in transit machines, and we knew what to do with it. We always wanted to share that knowledge on a higher level. So everybody really had something to bring on the table at this moment. What we did, and one of the maybe is just for information, if you need more on this, I'm available and can talk a lot about it, is we actually made like a governance, we find out there is a governance model which we need to keep this collaboration going. That's what we set up. And also we said one of the goals is that we as a country can never get down because of a DDoS attack again. What if we have that as the main goal? Well, I can tell you until now that we reached that goal in the last 5 years. It's not by lack of attacks. They were only more and bigger and more complex, but we kept pushing. We kept pushing on sharing this knowledge, taking all the measures we knew we needed to take. And one of the biggest achievements of this collaboration is that we actually do a DDoS drill twice a year in the Netherlands on a national level. And it's not on paper, it's the real thing. What you see there, it's a SOC in one of the government facilities, which it's putting to our disposal as a national coalition. And we actually do the real thing. We try to find out what our weakest points are, as Ziv said. Do we use all our capabilities? What kind of attacks have we seen until now? And this is a complicated thing, I can tell you, because it's a real life drill. I can tell you that organizing an attack in the Netherlands under Dutch law, it's a criminal offense. So we have done this on the legal part as well, so we can we'll make sure that we do the right thing. But it's the real thing. It's not on paper. And we don't talk about which dates these are, but on those dates, some of the facilities of the government, sometimes they are down between 2 and 3 at night. But we know why, and we'd better be prepared for the next thing which is coming. What can I tell you? I think, as I say, DDoS is here to stay. I'm telling you, when I came to work for the foundation, I worked for the provider market for a long time. I thought, well, I had this idea, this is really this simplistic way of attacks, and who is using this anymore, It's like, those script kiddies trying to get out of their schooling system. But unfortunately, that is not it. You will need to keep that high-tech technical service going and be able to keep that for a long time. you will need that 24/7 availability of your provider side or your outsourcing provider side, as we are, because it is very difficult to keep this kind of knowledge inside your information, especially on a small and mid-sized business. We are doing this like a 24/7 job. I'm very passionate and militant about sharing this information we have as much as we can on a transparent basis. I know there is not everything that we can share, but we're seeing, but we're pushing for a lot more. Because I think also knowledge sharing, it's a big weapon in this world we are living in at the moment on a threat intelligence side. And our sustainable model is also the sharing model in which we keep these services, on a financial sustainable. That means the bigger providers are paying more than the smaller providers into our network. Why? Because we think that's, the community-based system, the one who has the bigger networks, the one who has the bigger attack surface. It's willing and ready to pay more than the smaller providers. So we do have some providers in our community which they think, thank God, never got attacked, but they are still into our community. They're still paying for our services. Why? Because we are like more an insurance for them, If you need us, we're there. If you need these services, the services are being kept up on a high technical level. So anytime you need it as a small, medium, or big provider, you can just switch on. So yeah, this joint effort, which we've been doing this last years, and I was just thinking, like, next year we'll have like our 10-year anniversary. It's been, really hard. I'm being very honest. It's hard. It's hard to keep up with everything. It's hard to keep the community, sometimes, to keep the community goal, besides everything that needs to happen, especially the commercial and the financial challenges. But we see a lot of challenges ahead of us, but also opportunities. So our main goal is to expand our network, not because we want to make more money. We do have to make that money, so be able to reinvest. Every profit we make, it's being reinvested into the networks and into the providers community. And with every provider which is joining the network, there is one more part of the internet which is being actually protected. And that's our goals. Even if you're a provider and you've been joining our network, you never had an attack, you're still contributing to, making this big thing, which we call the internet, to make it safer than it was before. This is our story. Really like to talk to you later if you were here until the end of the meeting. So yeah, have a good day.